Academic Staff Union of Universities extends strike by 4 weeks. 8 million youths complete voter registration ahead of 2023 elections. Police kill suspected IPOB members in gun battle in Delta State. And on the foreign scene, U.S. court sentences January 6 rioter to more than 7 years. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I'm Dashan Husseina Usman. Now the news in detail. The Academic Staff Union of Universities has extended its nearly 6-month-old strike by another month. The union, which took the decision after its NEC meeting in Abuja on Monday, said in a statement that the union has not heard from the Minister of Education, Adamu, even as the 2 weeks Buhari gave the minister to resolve the strike elapses on Tuesday. The statement signed by ASU President Emmanuel Sodeke said the ongoing trial of the suspended Accountant General of the Federation, Ahmed Idris, on allegations of monumental fraud vindicated its rejection of the Integrated Payroll and Personnel Information System. Calling on the National Information Technology Development Agency to release reports of the latest tests on the University Transparency and Accountability Solution vis-a-vis the IPPIS. The union vowed to resist any attempt by the government to truncate the deployment of UTAS with all available legitimate means. The Delta State Police Command has neutralized 3 armed men suspected to be members of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra at Ogbada quarters along Ila Akuku Ibo Road. Addressing journalists at the force headquarters in Asaba, the Commissioner of Police, Muhammad Ari Ali, revealed that the patrol team attached to Ila Division, while on stop-and-search duty at Ogbada quarters along Ila Akuku Ibo Road, were attacked by the suspected IPOB members. He added that his team engaged them in a fierce gun duel, which led to the death of one of the hoodlums, while other members of the gang escaped with gunshot injuries.
That paid off this early morning at about 07:30 hours when the DPO Ila and his men were out on stop and search. And the sinister group came in and attacked them, but luck ran against them as they were repelled after a fierce gun battle. Our men were able to chase them, brought one of them down, and that happened to be the leader of the syndicate.
The Independent National Electoral Commission has officially shut down the online portal for the continuous voter registration exercise. A notice on the website said the CVR exercise has been suspended, while access to log in to check the status of completed applications will soon be restored. The Commission had pegged the deadline for the exercise on July 31, 2022, after an extension of the first deadline of June 30. The Commission's last update on the registration exercise on Monday, July 25, indicated 11 million Nigerians have so far registered. Similarly, INEC announced that over 8 million young Nigerians have been captured in the recently concluded continuous voter registration exercise. The Commission said youth demography has been touted as a major deciding factor in the upcoming elections, and the figures seemed to back the theory. According to INEC, there were over 10.4 million fresh registrants, while about 13 million persons completed their registrations. Meanwhile, INEC has warned Nigerians not to fall victims to fake websites advertising voter registration. In a statement signed by National Commissioner Festus Okoye, INEC stressed that it has concluded the continuous voter registration exercise for the 2023 general elections. The Independent National Electoral Commission says barely 24 hours after the closure of the PVC registration its attention has been drawn to an online site urging Nigerians to enroll for voter card registration, claiming that the federal government has approved individual PVC registration online to avoid unnecessary crowd in the NIMC centers. The Commission, in a statement by National Commissioner and Chairman Information and Voter Education Festus Okoye, says the site is not linked to the Commission, adding that the portal is spurious and from a dubious source. The Commission advised members of the public not to succumb to the antics of online scammers, affirming that the Commission has concluded the CVR nationwide and does not need to open an additional site or portal for the purposes of registration of voters. Vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Yusuf Baba Ahmed, says Nigerians should disregard social accounts currently circulating in his name as he is not active on any of the platforms for now. The vice presidential candidate made the clarification at a news conference in Abuja, attributing the action to political opponents bent on disparaging him and his party to halt what he called the rise and profile of the Obi Datti ticket. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman reports.
Before now, Baba Ahmed represented Kaduna Northern Senatorial District. His recent nomination as vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party by Peter Obi further brought him to limelight. But this also comes with a price. Social media intruders use his name to open several accounts for ulterior motives.
I withdrew from Kaduna State governorship primaries under the PDP on grounds of divergent principles. From 25th of June 2022, I began receiving indications of a possible calling to serve my nation, again this time under the Labour Party, which culminated in my unveiling as vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party on the 8th of July 2022. I was interviewed by BBC immediately after the event, only to find contents of the said interview misrepresented by another social media page. A complaint was immediately made, and this page eventually removed the misrepresented news article, but only after much damage had been done.
Though his current political status requires active engagement in the social media, he says he has asked to grind with operators of some of the platforms, and until that is resolved, he is not active for now.
Complaints about the fake social media accounts have been duly lodged and registered with the relevant host platforms. While I wait and continue to suffer the consequences of mischievous and evil postings done by others falsely in my name, I must acknowledge and appreciate the diligence of well-meaning followers who were quick to observe and object to these accounts, exchanges, and communications on the basis of their good knowledge of me.
The Labour Party presidential candidate is concerned about the security, religious, and ethnic consequences of the messages being peddled in his name. He said he wants Nigerians to completely disregard such messages as mischievous, fake, and baseless. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Police in Gombe State have arrested 23 suspected thugs in the metropolis. The police, who accused the suspects of criminal conspiracy, disturbance of public peace, and being in possession of dangerous weapons, also arrested a 31-year-old suspected scammer. Ibrahim Ismail reports.
Arrested for alleged involvement in violent clashes with one another, these young men are accused of participation in a form of thuggery, locally known as Kalare in Gombe. Light arms confiscated by the police include 15 machetes, 2 long daggers, 1 axe, and 5 sticks.
That on the 1st August 2022, at about 0100 hours, police tactical teams from Gombe Divisional Police Headquarters arrested about 23 suspects in connection to the above case. The team was led by the divisional police officer, who also served as the commander, Patrol 999, where they raided criminals' hideout within Maleng Inner Quarters, Gombe, and arrested the 23 suspected thugs who are terrorizing the said area and some other part of Gombe town.
4 other suspects were arrested for attempting to cut away some farm materials distributed to farmers by Governor Inwahaya as COVID-19 recovery support in Yamal Tudeba local government area of the state. In another development, the police command have arrested one Mustafa Adam Usman, a 31-year-old suspected fraudster from Kano State, who allegedly scammed a POS operator to the tune of 50,000 naira with wrapped bundles of papers disguised as naira notes. I asked him to deposit 50,000 naira. He did. I gave him wrapped papers and left. I was later arrested. I was arrested with arms. This is the first time I engage in Kalare and probably the end of it. The police said the suspect will be charged to court for trial as soon as investigations are concluded. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
Truck drivers on Sunday closed the Kano-Kaduna highway to protest against what they termed frequent arrests of their colleagues by police in Kano State. The drivers who blocked the Naibawa flyover access of the popular Kwenar Dawaki Park caused a major gridlock in the area. Abbas Ibrahim Alibi now reports.
Stranded passengers were forced to trek for some distance as the aggrieved drivers brought commuting to a total stop. Umaru Munkaila is one of the truck drivers. He told Trust TV that they blocked the road to protest against the arrest of their colleague by the police, adding that they will not open the road unless he is released. He said, despite the challenges the drivers face on the road due to the bad road and security issue, their members are being maltreated and exploited by the police in Kano State. Once kidnapped and spent 15 days in the kidnappers' den, my family had to sell my belongings to pay the ransom before I was released. Despite this and other challenges that come with this job, the police in Kano still harass and financially exploit. If we refuse to comply, they will arrest us. Sadisu Musa conveys goods from the popular Tashar Dawaki station to Kano Metropolis using a mini truck. He disclosed that policemen from different divisions in the state regularly storm the station to forcefully collect money from drivers, adding that the issue is getting worse. When contacted, the police public relations officer in Ogun State, Abimbola Oyeyemi, confirmed the incident. The hope of the truck drivers on whose services the country depends on for transportations of goods is to have secured and accessible roads that are devoid of police harassment and intimidation. Abbas Ibrahim Alibi, Trust TV, Kano.
Worried by the increase in number of unregistered motorcycles plying the roads and the urgent need to ensure that all two-wheeled vehicles are duly captured in the National Vehicle Identification Scheme database, the acting Corps Marshal Dauda Alibiu has directed Corps commanders to commence full enforcement on any motorcycles seen without appropriate registration. A statement by the Corps Public Education Officer, BC Kazim, said the order was necessitated by the state of insecurity and the need to curb it by bringing to a halt the continuous operations of these categories of vehicles without registration on the roads. While laying particular emphasis on the security implications of not capturing all motorcycles in the national database, the acting Corps Marshal charged the sector commanders to immediately liaise with the boards of internal revenue in their respective states, set up a task force in conjunction with the Nigerian police and other security agencies where necessary, including Vehicle Inspection Office and other stakeholders for effective enforcement. The acting Corps Marshal said that the operation is aimed at getting unregistered motorcycles registered and documented in the national database. You're watching Trust News Update. Coming up after the break. Oil and gas communities tasked on sustained environmental monitoring. Do stay with us. Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Let's take a look at some of our major stories. We told you that Academic Staff Union of Universities extends strike by 4 weeks. You also heard that 8 million youths complete voter registration ahead of 2023 elections. Moving on to more news, Federal Capital Territory Minister Mohammed Bello has reopened the popular Millennium Park 2 years after its closure, but due to the outbreak of COVID-19 in 2020. The park, which was closed down at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, was developed and donated to the residents of the FCT some years ago by a private company. The minister lamented that the almost 95% of the parks in Abuja have totally derailed from the FCTA PAC policy. He appealed to the media and the public to support the FCTA's efforts towards rediscovering Abuja and urged that those opposing the FCTA PAC policy to have a rethink and support the administration in the journey to transform all PACs. Nigeria on Monday joined the rest of the world to mark the World Breastfeeding Week with a series of activities tailored towards enhancing the practice of optimal breastfeeding among nursing mothers. Stakeholders at the commemorative event sued for the incorporation of 6-month exclusive breastfeeding as well as the extension of infant breastfeeding for at least 2 years in order to achieve the 50% target by 2025. The report.
Inadequate breast milk during the formative years of children, according to these stakeholders, leads to high stunting rates and other underlying health challenges for the child.
For girls to learn from that age that breastfeeding is important, is good for their health, and is something they should have in their brain and have in their mind and practice when they start to have children. It will be important and critical because we are having democratic change and we have new generations of girls and women.
About 80,000 child deaths are reported to be prevented annually when optimal breastfeeding is practiced. Mothers also benefit enormously from breastfeeding. It helps to prevent postpartum bleeding and reduce the woman's risk to breast and ovarian cancers.
To boost breastfeeding through support and education, there are calls on government to allocate increased resources to protect, promote, and support breastfeeding policies and programs, especially for the most vulnerable families.
So we are working with the Federal Ministry of Education to promote the education of the girl child, which is key to unlock access to economic and social opportunities. Educated girls, you agree with me, will grow to become women who are empowered to cater for themselves, their families, and communities.
The exclusive breastfeeding rate in the country is put at 29%, meaning that over 70% of infants in Nigeria are denied the nutritious benefits of breast milk in their formative years. Only 9% of organizations, according to statistics, have a workplace breastfeeding policy, indicating that mothers lack the enabling environment to optimally breastfeed their babies.
When you say you want to breastfeed exclusively, a good number of mothers work either in formal sectors or informal sectors. And you need policies that enable them. The 6 months paid maternity leave that we see in Kaduna State, in Lagos State, in Ekiti State, and I think one other state are powerful. Because when she initiates and you give her enough maternity leave to practice exclusive breastfeeding, that's encouraging.
Experts say exclusive breastfeeding of up to 6 months and at least 2 years breastfeeding of infants not only guarantees a safe, nutritious and accessible food source for babies and young children, but also offers a powerful line of defense against disease and all forms of child malnutrition, thereby reducing infant mortality. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Host communities of oil and gas have been tasked to bring long-term abuse and neglect in the Niger Delta by multinational companies to an end through sustained environmental monitoring and advocacy. Stakeholders and non-governmental organizations urged the communities to ensure that the economic interest of investors did not threaten the environment. The report.
Due to severe devastation of the ecosystem and the effect on people living on oil-producing communities in Rivers State, stakeholders are championing advocacy against environmental pollution in the Niger Delta. They expressed the importance of community monitoring and advocacy to defend the ecosystem from degradation and pollution, adding that community members should hold environmental destroyers accountable for any damage done.
So this training is meant to equip the community people, not just to see things and walk away, but when they see things, they will take notes. They are to become citizen journalists, to report on what is going on in their communities. We also train them on community organizing and solidarity building. We're introducing them to continental networks of fishers, because these are people who used to fish but can't fish anymore. So the things we heard today are very instructive.
They also urged people in the affected communities to always task political leaders to begin to take issues of environmental pollution seriously. Some community members shared their experiences living on destroyed environment.
We told them to be good observers of their environment. When they go out, they see changes in their environment, they should document.
In discussing pollution, we are looking at anything that alter our air, anything that alter our water and our land, and we don't want to contribute to that. So it is not only oil spill. Let us tell them it is enough of all this nonsense.
If you go to clinic, if as I tell you, to kill is very, very crucial, the major sickness you see is typhoid, you talk of malaria, you talk of kidney problem, you talk of liver problem. All is as a result of oil pollution.
It could be recalled that in April 2009, Kedere community, which has 54 oil wells, had a major oil spill where fire from Bomu manifold burned and spread to neighboring communities that destroyed people's means of livelihoods.
Away from Nigeria, an associate of the far-right 3%ers militia has been sentenced to more than 7 years in prison for joining a mob that stormed the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. Guy Reffitt of Wiley, Texas, was convicted by a jury in March of 5 felony charges, including bringing a gun onto the Capitol grounds and obstructing an official proceeding. U.S. District Judge Dabney Friedrich issued a sentence of 7 years and 3 months on Monday, the longest yet for anyone involved in the riot. Previously, the longest sentence for a January 6 case had been 63 months, but in those 2 cases, the defendants opted not to go to trial and to plead guilty instead. And finally, in sports, Premier League captains are in talks over the future of the pre-match anti-racism gesture of taking a knee before the new season begins on Friday. The captains have already held one meeting on the subject without reaching a resolution. Another will take place when they have consulted with their teammates. Players have been taking a knee before kickoff since the league restarted in June 2020 following the initial shutdown due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And with this, we've come to the end of Trust News Update. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Dashan Husseina Usman. Thanks for watching.